Yeah, I never thought about it, but it's kind of funny, I guess. Hero to Zero. I there's part of this is narcissistic projection. The narcissists, when they spoke to me, I'm very good at pointing out character flaws and stupid psychologies. I remember Stu getting pissed one time because I was like, "You're gonna stick it to him," and Amanda telling me, "Stop doing that. You're pissing him off," because that's how he thinks. He thinks like a retard. Um, the yeah, but George Miller, I remember getting this insane call where George Miller, because I needed money for chelation therapy, but Blondie and Stu had convinced him I was gonna buy nice things and trinkets, and if you actually know me, that ain't me. I don't give a shit. When you're poor, this is something these retards don't understand. When you're poor, you don't give a fuck about how you look. Okay? I'm an ugly son of a bitch. Like, let me tell you a story about my beautiful teeth. When I was 13, my dad was supposed to take me to get braces, and he never did. And he explained to me that he had been, because he's diabetic at the time, he'd been stuffing himself full of sugar and shit, and his teeth were falling out. That he needed my braces money to save his own teeths, so that he can go get women, even though he was married to my stepmom. And I was like, whatever, Dad, I don't care, because that's called being the adult. Hey, do you know what would have boosted my self-confidence as a kid? Having straight teeth. You know what I didn't get? Straight teeth. Okay. My father doesn't give a fuck about his kids. That's his nature. The, I'm not bitching, I'm stating the thing. There's people that think this is bitching. It's not bitching. The, yeah. So, I do find it astounding because now that I can put it all together in my mind, I can actually see in like my mind's eye the amount of sons of bitches that were just dicking me over for Stu and these faggots at the church. And you know, it's that shit. I remember Stu was the first dude to say it, was talking about how the church can control whether or not you have, yes, they can control by being completely disgusting to you because the narciss I'm going to start calling emotionally stunted people the narcissistic submissives. They'll do whatever they want. Rachel Johnston's mother. This faggot, the church leader, murdered her son, and she fucking decided to poison me about it instead of braining the church leader. Like, that's how far gone these people are. They can't make good decisions. They shouldn't be around normal human beings. But yeah, the zero to hero. This is hero to zero is kind of funny to me because I remember getting calls from Japan and all over the world, people telling me I was a hero, a samurai, people calling from different religions telling me I'm the savior. I was marketed as a prophet in multiple different religions, which I hate religion, so I was just like, if you guys want to honor me, you can give up. And believe it or not, a really large religion in the Middle East was actually willing to surrender to me. Yeah. If they said that at a year passed and like the Church of the Analite Mummy had remained destroyed, they were going to surrender to me. Yeah, I would have saved the world and brought everybody together had Blondie not realized I was an N-word. And I think it would be funny if Jesus came back as a black man and these people just brained his ass and then they just brought about the end of the world. He can't be black! Bang! Fucking meteorite just come. Why is there a meteorite coming? Just, yeah. I always, you gotta have a sense of humor about these things. As a guy that inherently doesn't win, that's just kind of how things go for me, and I think that's how it'll always go for me. But, dude, the fact, one of the things that did bug me is Analite and Mummy God comes off as this really great guy and shit, but like, when I told him they stole the money from the Middle East, when they literally stole money, and the only thing is, can't give you anything, but then Stu can literally buy a car in my name, using money he stole from the church, like, you just don't want it. I want to make that clear, and I'd appreciate if he'd be more honest about that. That'd be really nice. I remember, I remember this vague, weird conversation with Blondie, but this is the thing, once narcissistic projection. They are the masters of making you just as shitty as they are in other people's eyes. So when Blondie talks about me, he talks about himself. And it's funny because when he was talking to me, he was talking that I was talking about Stu and I was talking about myself. No. No. I'm not a religious retard. That's the biggest fault in their logic, okay? All their neuroses, their white entitlement, their okayness with murdering and killing, how they can accuse me of being a killer willy-nilly and talk about all this bullshit is because that is them. And the first thing you need to know about these people is their laws only apply to them. And as soon as you understand that, you realize you don't want these people anywhere near you. Okay? They're maximum masters of playing the victim. They're maximum all this fucking nonsense. But like, yeah, I remember this weird thing. What I don't get, this is like yeah. Anyways, all these people were praising me and thanking me for stopping this human trafficking ring and fixing the world, and I was getting useless thank yous. They're useless thank yous. These people should have helped me. Like, the only two people on the planet that gave a shit was some Jewish guy and Sean, who was actually against what I did. Yeah. He was actually against what I did. He told me that you should have found another way to get rid of the human trafficking. The church is fine. White supremacy is important. People need to know that they need to be underneath the boot of the white man. And I was just, great. Thanks, Sean. Thanks you for that. Just remember that an N-word brought down the church. Before you talk about that superiority shit. There's a lie that one man is supposed to bring down the entire church. It's a thing. They have an irrational fear of it. And I kind of happened, which made them think that the end was coming. But Blondie knew I wasn't the right guy for it because I wasn't white. Oops. My bad. I was thinking about that stuff I said earlier where I was kind of like, oh, I could turn myself in. I kind of can't because the contract I'm under, they'll intercept the call. And the last time I tried to turn myself in for accepting a bribe was, they sent an assassin out to my house. So the likelihood of me getting that done is 0 because if you ever want to win any court case, just shoot the other guy in the head before you can get the court because that's the American justice system. That's how we do justice. Which, okay. Like, common sense. If I call you and I say these people are violent, stupid people who impersonate the FBI, the U.S. Army would be at your door going, they like doing that. That's hilarious. We like putting bullets in them. Like, I don't really bother. Dude, one of the things that kills me is you ever talk to Republicans, they want everybody else to follow the rules, but they're not gonna. Like, they don't believe in, like, it's hypocrisy and stupidity and idiocy all rolled into one, but it's what happens when you're emotionally stunted. But I remember Anal Eating Mummy God was trying to explain to me after, dude, the only thing I wanted and I want is to be left alone. And I keep doing these videos, which I guess kind of stirs the pot because once again, I do care. I just don't really think there is a winning situation because these guys are going to do the wrong thing and the wrong thing just involves murder. And they can win at anything through murder. And I remember I said that to Anal Eating Mummy God, and he was kind of confused, and he was like, but we win. I was like, that's not the point of competition. The point of competition isn't to win, it's to compete. But, yeah. Anyways, there was this big projection and this Blondie was funny as shit because he kept misinforming people about me while pretending to be a decent human. Once again, it's virtue signaling. Pretending to be a decent human being and then misinforming people. And then there were people who knew me that knew these things weren't true, but it didn't stop him from trying. And he started getting pissed off, and I always thought that was funny because that's called strength of character. Something these guys don't have because they're disingenuous in everything they do. But yeah, Blondie did all this fucking work, and then I kind of realized later he was projecting, and I pointed it out to him, and he was like, no, I don't do that, I understand other people, I do, and I was like, you don't, and we had this back and We had this back and forth, and he started getting mad and explaining to me, yes, when people will always assume because I'm hypercritical of people. It's just my nature. If I'm hypercritical of you, I'm sorry, but it's also my form of respect to let you know you fucked up. Okay, I believe letting people know when they messed up is important because then they can correct it. But my problem is we live in an emotionally stunted world where if I correct you, I'm an asshole. And that's how that works. You hurted my feelings. Ah, you little bitch. But, yeah. So, and the downfall of that was swift. I remember, once again, I rolled a whole bunch because there were YouTubers like Houston Jones, just wealthy YouTubers that called and were calling me a piece of shit, and I rolled because I needed money for chelation therapy. Hey, do you know why I needed chelation therapy? These assholes were poisoning me. Hey, do you know what would have stopped that? Chelation therapy. You know what would have fixed that? Chelation therapy. Hey, do you know what would have made everything better? Chelation therapy. Hey, you know what would have fixed that? Free healthcare. 'Cause I'm poor and I can't get it. But that's the system. And Anal Eating Mummy God explained that to me. Told me it's the reason why we don't have those things, and it's important that you gotta make sure the poor people, the working class, know their fucking place beneath the boot of the wealthy white crackers. And you're just like, great. So it's gonna be emotionally stunted dumbasses that aren't qualified to lead, that are entitled to everything, and they just murder everybody else and take their shit, and that's totally fucking normal apparently. And I remember this awkward and Anal Eating Mummy God just going quiet and like, us what? Nothing. What? Nothing. Nothing. This was the same shit with the blue-eyed guy. We're not that. What are you? And then they refuse to explain it because they know they're that. They don't give a shit. It is all, I win through murder, and I was just whatever, dude. And it's my statement. If Jesus came back, these guys would murder him. They wouldn't have two shits, fucking bullet in his head, fucking, I think you're gonna save the world. No, I hate it. I'm emotionally stunted and I make bad decisions every time, no matter what. Like, but yeah, I remember, what else, like, yeah, everything fell apart, and I remember this whole thing, like, people going on about hero complexes, and that entire thing is dangerous. Okay? The whole idea that one man, me, could fix this entire fucking situation, even in death, and I don't even think me dying, like, let's say these guys were successful. I reported the church and then I died. And then they're like, there's no way, no, I don't believe that perjury would have stood. I don't believe that legal case would have stood. I think these guys have enough numbers, powers, and murderous intent to get the job done. And I remember one of the guys like, oh, we're all stupidly driven. Yes, but you're also willing to commit atrocities. That makes you evil. Okay, you need to know when to stop. And I believe eventually, I remember telling Blondie, Blondie, because he was in the back of Papa John's, and he was like, oh, the guys are in jail, everything's falling apart, the white and splendid's going away. And there will never be a movie made about what happened to me, but if it was made, it would have to be done similar to Hot Fuzz without the gun scenes. It would be Hot Fuzz and Walking Tall, and in Walking Tall, the original guy gets killed. He doesn't win taking on an army of fascists who took over his neighborhood. They kill him. That's what happens. Without me killing anybody, it would have to be like Hot Fuzz and Walking Tall fused with, Mr. Magoo. Because my dumbass just dumbassed my way through all this. None of this shit was intentional. It was just me being me the entire time, getting threatened with, fuck off, man. I remember one of the guys, he was like, I'll kill you, blah, blah. And I just looked at it, I was like, I don't take kindly to threats. You can go away. No. I was like, you can go away. You're going to make threats, you can leave. And it's like a parent talking to a child every time. And their response is very childlike. Not letting me get my way. Hate you. I'm like, okay. Go in the corner. Hold your arms over your head for the next 2 hours. You want to act like a little shit. Like. But yeah, I remember the other side, if there was ever a movie made, these guys that were threatening me multiple times broke down and were almost crying. Even Blondie did it. where he was explaining he didn't want a job. That was the biggest thing. Is these guys? There's a whole thing I say. It's people were doing it are willing to do anything not to work, and that includes work. Yeah. And these guys do work. They murder people. They do all the evil. They're literally at my house threatening me. The two fat guys while waterboarding me. I remember they both explained to me that they're fat and obese and they're ex-black ops and they don't want to get back in the service because that's the only way to make money. They just want to pop LSD and they're white and they're entitled and they shouldn't have to work. And I just... being waterboarded, one of the worst things you could do to somebody, and then you just hear white grievance, it should be handed to me, which is the toxic psychology of this church. It needs to be handed to me, therefore I don't need to earn it. But then I go through hell, I earned everything, and then I get dicked over. Anal eating mummy god, we have justice, and no, that's not justice. That's not justice. Okay. And one of the things I remember was really funny was Blondie just going, "Oh, dude, all you gotta do is show me one of you white people that can survive what I went through." And I remember him just, just the horror on his face and the thought of doing everything to himself or somebody else he couldn't imagine it. And I was like, that's because you're inferior. That feeling you're doing right now is called inferiority. But yeah, like I said, and religion creates a toxic psychology of one man's coming. It's the shit with Jesus. And my biggest problem with religion is the part where Jesus dies and everybody stands by and does nothing. Yeah. Bad people win when good people do nothing. Trust me, I know it's what happened to me. Everybody decided to do nothing. And I think that's what'll happen every time. I think anytime somebody comes along and tries to stop these people, I don't think they will ever win. I think it'll just, like I told Blondie, the church isn't going anywhere, because eventually Blondie would grow up and he would rebuild the church, and it would be back in the human trafficking and murder, and it would be the same stupid shit again and again and again and again, because I guess the majority of America is emotionally stunted and they can't fucking learn. And I remember Blondie trying to explain to me it's impossible to do it over again. It's impossible. Hey, Blondie, you're doing it right now, so we know it's not impossible. And the nerve of these rich fucks with their easy lives having the balls to call and tell me I'm a piece of shit was one of the funnier things. And there was a group of people, they allegedly saved up money that I could have used for chelation therapy, which is what I needed. And they were like, we're not giving it to you. And I think about, like, had they given me the money, I could have got chelation therapy. And that's a failure on your end, not my end, by the way. But I think that's the crux of my story. And I guess the thing that does make it worse is I realize now, because of what happened, because of the perjury, this place can never be reported ever again for human trafficking or any of the evil shit, because that's what happens when you sign a perjury. So Stu and every other dipshit, I guess all the killer videos I've done on my YouTube page are kind of pointless because I signed a perjury that completely cleared them. But to be fair to me, my brain wasn't working right when I was doing those, so I don't really know what I don't know or know what I know. And I still remember things. I'm going to talk about some of the heavy metal recovery shit in my next video. And then all that was unjustly stolen from me, and then Anal Eating Mummy God, once again, just like the blue-eyed guy, we're not that. Double speak. That's what they call it in 1984. Double speak. Anything worthy of note? I don't think I was ever going to win because there's just too many, once again, too many evil people. That's just a fact. I think about, yeah, I'm going to cut it.